Hola, chicos. All right, so this video, we are going to talk about the tiempo futuro, the future tense. This is going to be unique. It's going to be a lot different than, well, I'll say a little different than conjugations you've used before. It's pretty simple. We're not going to have a ton of irregulars to know. We're just going to, we just have to learn the endings. We have to learn a couple of the irregulars, and we have to kind of understand one little adjustment that we're not used to. I'm going to start off with telling you about the future tense is more like will in English, where if you have the future of hablar, it's more like I will speak. You already know how to say I am going to speak with like voy a hablar, but this is just a little different. It's a more formal way, using the future tense to say I will speak. Again, essentially the same thing of saying I'm going to speak. So anyways, let's talk about the endings of the future tense. So if you will direct your attention to my little red box there, here are the endings, and this is it. These are the endings. So what's kind of nice is knowing that these are all the endings you'll have to know. There's not going to be a different set of endings for AR, ER, or IR. There aren't any irregular verbs you have to worry about with endings. There are irregular stems, but there aren't any irregular endings. These will always be the endings. So that's kind of nice. So what we do with these, now this is where it's kind of unique in that we are going to take our infinitive. At this point, typically when we're conjugating, we get rid of the last two letters. We get rid of the AR, the ER, or the IR, and we add our new set of endings for our tense. But here, we're actually going to keep those on. Your infinitive actually becomes the stem of the future tense. So very unique because we haven't done that before, but we are going to do it when we get to the next tense also. So here we are though with the future. You take your infinitive like hablar and you add the ending. So as you can see, I've got it bolded and underlined hablar in every one of these 6 conjugations. And then the endings next to it are the ones that came from where the red box is around right now. So you take hablar and add the e with an accent. Hablar, add the as, a with an accent. Hablar, a with an accent. And nosotros, we go to hablar, and then we add hemos. Hablar, and then we add the eis, accent on the e, hablaréis. And then hablarán, and a with an accent. You'll notice that 5 of them have accent marks on that first letter of the ending. Just nosotros does not have the accent mark. So, accent marks are going to be tricky, but they're not that tricky in knowing that it's in almost all of them, and it's on that first letter of the ending, the letter right after the R of our stem. So now that's important when you spell it, when you're actually writing it out, but it's also important when you pronounce it. You are going to stress the last syllable of the verb conjugation. If you pronounce this the wrong way, there are words that you will get mixed up with this. In fact, with hablar right here, if I got rid of the accent marks in 4 of the, in all of these, 4 of these conjugations, this is the subjunctive, the past subjunctive of them, and there's a future subjunctive in here too, which isn't even used anymore. So hablare, hablaras, hablara, hablaran, those are all different tenses. Those are not the future tense. It is important to pronounce this the right way. So stress syllable is the last syllable of the ones where the accent marks are. So you have to stress that last syllable. So that first part, yo, is hablaré. Hablaré. That's where the inflection occurs at that re at the ending. Also, when you're pronouncing the ending, at least know that the R of the last is part of the last syllable. So it's not hablar, it's hablare. R-E is the last syllable. Then the 2 form, hablarás. It is stressed, it is inflected, right? You're going to have that, you're going to go up there, hablarás. You want to hear that stress. Hablarás is past subjunctive. That's not the right way to pronounce it. Hablarás, hablarás. So hablarás, hablarás. 2 different words I just said there. Hablarás, future tense. And again, R is the beginning of the last syllable. So and I don't normally have you do this when I do grammar videos, but I would try to make sure you can say these words. It's a little bit, a little strange to some people just because you're so used to saying the infinitive. When you say hablar, you want to say hablar and then add the sound, but that's not how this will work. It's broken down into syllables still. Hablará, ra. You have that RA together. Hablaremos, hablaréis, hablarán. So moving over to the right here, we got comer. Now comer, you'll notice it is comer. That's your infinitive, C-O-M-E-R. That's your infinitive. That's also your stem. And you add those same endings you had with hablar. AR verbs, ER verbs, IR verbs, it doesn't matter. So same thing will be true here. You just add the endings to your infinitive and you have your conjugation. Comeré, I will eat. Comerás, you miss might be a question, you know. When will you eat? ¿Cuándo comerás? When will you eat? Comerá, comeremos, comeréis, comerán. All right, so I don't have an IR verb up here, but the same thing would be true if I had vivir, take VI, VIR, add your endings that you have for the future tense. All right, now, irregulars. Of course, these are not bad because, well, the irregulars are kind of weird, but I mean, this conjugation isn't bad. And then you have to know one set of endings for all of them. And then you are going to have irregular stems now, but still the same set of endings. So nothing fancy like the preterite. You don't have to worry about any kind of stem changing. Spelled, you know, there's no car, gar, sar, none of that. You don't have to worry about a lot of those things that you have to worry about in other tenses. But here, I'm going to go through, there are 3 different categories of irregular stems with the future tense. And they are, as you can see in there, the red, underlined red headings. C and E go bye-bye. That's right over here. Let me mark those. I'll give you a little, we'll get a little heart next to it because we love this. Okay, little heart right there. We're going to erase the vowel. That is another category, and the vowel becomes a D is another category. So in each of these categories, we have a connection between the types of verbs that follow there. What I mean by C and E go bye-bye is just that. You have desir, the letter C and the letter E are, you're going to get rid of them. So I did, you can see next to us, I have desir, D-E-C-I-R. C and E go bye-bye. Also, it doesn't matter the order, because here in this case, it's E first, then C, but both of those letters are gone. What you're left with is D-I-R, as you can see right here. D-I-R is now your new stem, because you got rid of the C, you got rid of the E, you're left with D-I-R. So you take D-I-R and you add the endings that are given. So going back up to this little corner over here, right? We're going to add the E with an accent mark. So we have yo diré, I will say, I will tell. You know, te diré la verdad, I will tell you the truth. Dirás, dirá, diremos, diréis, dirán. You take dir and you add your endings. Not too bad. Hacer, same deal. You're going to get rid of the C, you're going to get rid of the E, and then you're left with H-A-R is your stem. You take H-A-R as your stem, you add your endings. Haré, harás, hará, haremos, haréis, harán. Now, those are the only 2 that fall into that category. And if you look in most books, they actually don't consider this a category. They just basically say that those 2 don't follow the rules of any of the other irregularities, which we have next. So you might come across it, it'll just say like they see or not see are just irregular. They don't follow a pattern, which I get, but I like to say C and E go bye-bye. So we're going to erase the vowel. So hopefully you can look at this. If you just take a second and look at caber and what it becomes, haber, what it becomes, poder and what it becomes, all you're doing is, actually they all coincident. I say erase the vowel, but they're all E's, all the letter E. So the ER verb for all 5 of these, you're getting rid of the E of the ER, and then you have your new stem. So instead of it being caber, we're going to have C-A-B-R. Instead of it being haber, it's going to be H-A-B-R. And then it's really hard to say. I can't say like, you know, what's the stem of caber, you know, and say cabr. You know, it's really hard to pronounce. So usually like I'll say, what's the yo form of caber, just so you can make sure you can pronounce it. So the yo form, I'll run through the yo form of each of these verbs. Caber will be yo cabré, haber, yo habré. And now, haber And the yo form is only going to be used when we're using that pretérito perfecto, the perfecto. This would be used actually as the future perfect. We won't do that for a while, but the futuro perfecto would start off with yo habré, and then maybe yo habré hablado. I will have spoken. Um, Again, you don't have to do that yet. But what you will have to do is use I in the future is habrá. Habra with an accent. It's the third person singular form. That is where I belongs. It's the same conjugation as haber in our perfect tenses. So just so you know that one, you won't really conjugate habré, habrás, habrá, habremos, habréis, and habrán until we get to the futuro perfecto. But just might as well throw it out there while we're learning this. But habrá, third person singular, to say like there will be, there will be a quiz tomorrow. Habrá una prueba mañana. That's the future of saying hay una prueba. All right, moving on. Poder, P-O-D-R, hard to say. So yo form, podré. I will be able to. And that'll be followed by an infinitive of what you'll be able to do. Podré hacer la tarea mañana. Querer. Now this is fun because what happens when you get rid of the E is you make a double R. So you are going to have an extra little trill to your pronunciation, querré, querré. You're going to have, for the yo form, I will want. It's important, make sure you pronounce it the right way. To have that double R in there. It's not as important here as it is going to be when we learn another tense where it has the same form. Okay, saber, sabré. I will learn, I will know, I will find out. Okay, now, next category. Vowel becomes a D. With poner, salir, tener, valer, and venir. You can see the E's or the I's of the infinitive of the ending become the letter D because of, I don't know why. But so poner, we won't say poneré, we'll say yo pondré, tú pondrás, él pondrá, nosotros pondremos, vosotros pondréis, y ellos, ellas, o ustedes pondrán. Salir, I'll just give you the yo form of these now. Saldré, tendré, vadré, vendré. So these, these all follow the pattern for all their conjugations. It's not so bad because even though the like P-O-N-D-R from poner, that seems really odd, but at least it's really odd in every form. It's consistent. All the forms are going to have P-O-N-D-R in them for all the conjugations. So it's, this isn't too bad. I can fit everything on this one little screen here. You can see everything there is to know about the future. To say I will do something. It's also used in some other uses to kind of like a little, I'm not sure what to call it, but like to kind of guess, like, who might be there. That, someone knocks on the door and you might say, not really quién es, but quién será. You're kind of saying like, I wonder who it is. I wonder who's there. Who might it be? But so this is the future is actually used to give off that conjecture as well. All right. So I'm going to leave it at that for right now. And I think this is probably the only future video I'll have if I figure out or realize there's some, an area where I didn't cover. We'll follow up with another one. But this is all for now. Adios.